As training camp approaches and we draw closer to the 2018 NFL season, fans are beginning to get excited for new faces, old stars, and new beginnings for the Dallas Cowboys. One player which has been a bit forgotten about over the last few months, and even overlooked when he was first signed back in April, is defensive end Kony Ealy. Of course, some of this overlooking is justified, as Ealy's career has been filled with more valleys than peaks thus far. With a fresh start in Dallas, though, some expect Kony Ealy to rekindle his career, and look like the player he was during the Panthers' Super Bowl 50 loss just a few seasons ago. The problem is, that game looks like the outlier and not the norm over his professional career. Originally drafted by the Carolina Panthers, Ealy has had a shaky start to his career. Now joining his third team in the same number of seasons, it's certainly fair to say he hasn't lived up to his second-round draft selection. At 6 feet 4 inches and 275 pounds, however, Ealy fits the mold of a 4-3 defensive end in the Cowboys scheme. While he isn't the explosive pass rusher that other players on the roster are, and can be, he could provide solid rotational depth across the defensive line. With fellow former second-round pick Randy Gregory gaining reinstatement to the NFL this week, Ealy could struggle to salvage any real playing time with the Cowboys at all. Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, Tyrone Crawford, and Taco Charlton all feel like locks to make the team. Then there is 2018 Day 3 pick Dorrance Armstrong and former 4th-round pick Charles Tapper providing competition as well. Tapper and Armstrong are unproven, but have the athletic profiles to become solid edge rushers at the professional level. For both, especially Tapper, health is of the utmost concern going forward. If Tapper can remain healthy, he has a real shot of making the team and having his impact felt as early as 2018. That if has been a serious one thus far, however. When the Cowboys first signed Kony Ealy back in April, I really believed he could provide solid and cheap depth along their defensive line. Now in July, I still have those beliefs, but it's become fair to question if he will even find himself on the final 53-man roster based on the competition around him. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Kony Ealy Connor Williams has yet to play a single snap the NFL, but there are already some pretty high expectations for the rookie guard. That's because he will be sandwiched between two Pro Bowl players in center Travis Frederick and left tackle Tyron Smith. But it's the Dallas Cowboys' third Pro Bowl offensive lineman Williams should try to emulate and follow in the footsteps of. Yes, I'm talking about Zach Martin. Zach Martin's career couldn't have gotten off to a better start coming out of Notre Dame. He hit the ground running as a rookie with the Cowboys and put together a dominating performance his first year in the NFL, earning his first Pro Bowl bid as well as being named to the All-Pro team. He continued to play at a high level ever since and has not only turned into the best player at his position, but continued his Pro Bowl streak every season since entering the league. To ask, or even expect Connor Williams to have the same kind of immediate success as Zach Martin is probably a little unfair, if not impossible. The kind of success Martin has had already in his career is almost unheard of. But that's not to say Williams isn't going to try to follow in Martin's footsteps and to become the best player he can. Dallas Cowboys og Zach Martin. The footsteps I think Connor Williams should try to follow as it pertains to Zach Martin is how well he made the transition from a collegiate offensive tackle to an NFL guard. I think that should be Williams' main focus right now with training camp coming up. Williams will be inserted into the starting lineup as the Cowboys' new left guard. It will be a new position for him after playing mainly tackle at the University of Texas. That will require an entirely new mindset and technique. But it's in transition I believe he can make rather smoothly. Connor Williams should benefit from Zach Martin's similar transition from college OT to an NFL OG. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the rookie shadowing Martin throughout training camp to soak up as much knowledge as possible. It's probably the best way for him to jumpstart his career. Now, I fully expect to see some growing pains from Williams throughout the 2018 season. It's to be expected from any rookie, especially one transitioning to a new position. But I do believe he will not only be an upgrade at LG for the Cowboys but will make the entire OL even better. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what kind of player Connor Williams ends up being this season. Do you think Connor Williams can follow in Zach Martin's footsteps? To say that Terrence Williams has had a run of bad luck recently would be an understatement. First, he breaks his foot, which kept him out of all of the off-season practices so far. Then, he ends up getting arrested on an intoxication charge, a Class C misdemeanor, on May 19 after crashing his Lamborghini into a light pole. Unfortunately for him, his bad luck could continue with training camp approaching because he could be looking at a demotion. As things stand right now, I have a hard time seeing Williams being any more than the fourth wide receiver on the Dallas Cowboys depth chart. I have him behind Allen Hurns, Cole Beasley, and rookie Michael Gallup, in that order, right now, possibly falling even further. For now, I'll pencil him in at WR4 though. I believe a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans wouldn't be too terribly upset if we don't see a lot of Terrence Williams in 2018. Fans have been unhappy with Williams for quite some time and many voiced their displeasure when the Cowboys signed him to a contract extension last offseason. But he is still on the roster, which means we should probably expect him to stick around for at least one more season. There is a cloud still hanging over Williams' head though. His intoxication arrest is still an open case and the league could decide to suspend him for breaking the NFL's conduct policy. That could impact his availability to start the season, which could ultimately determine where he exactly fits in on offense in 2018. I know, it's a lot to take in, but that's how things stand right now and I don't think things get much clearer when training camp gets underway. But, let's try to dive into this little deeper to try to determine what to expect from T-Will this year. Dallas Cowboys WR Terrence Williams. As I mentioned earlier, I believe Hurns, Beasley, and Gallup are the top three Cowboys receivers this year. If that proves to be true, Williams is looking at demotion. He may be nothing more than an insurance policy in case of injury. Terrence Williams does have something going in his favor though. He has the coaching staff's trust, which means he could reprise the same role we have seen from him in the past. But that's where his potential suspension comes into play. If Williams is indeed suspended, that would give more opportunities to other WRs on the roster to prove themselves, particularly Michael Gallup and Noah Brown. I think these are the two receivers who could have the biggest impact on Williams' offensive role this season. Gallup will without a doubt receive every opportunity to prove he's ready to hit the ground running as a rookie. I think he will be successful, which is why I have him ahead of Williams on the depth chart to begin with. Noah Brown on the other hand is the wild card here. I'm a big fan of Noah Brown's. I believe he can adequately replace Williams as both a receiver in the passing game and as a blocker in the running game, something the coaching staff really values about Williams. I think he has a chance to leapfrog T-Will on the depth chart, but he's really going to have a good training camp to do that. Having said all that, I still don't know exactly where Terrence Williams will fit offensively for the Dallas Cowboys in 2018, but I think his bad luck will continue. I think he should probably just be an insurance policy in case of injuries, but we'll have to wait to see if the coaching staff agrees. Do you think Terrence Williams' bad luck continues? During the spring of 2015, the Dallas Cowboys faced what most considered a difficult decision. Following an unexpectedly successful 12-4 season in which the Cowboys won just their second playoff game since 1996, two of the team's main offensive weapons were set to hit free agency. On one hand was wide receiver Dez Bryant, coming off of a career year and widely considered a top wideout in this talent-rich league. On the other hand was running back DeMarco Murray, also coming off of a career year in which he led the NFL in rushing yards. Could the Cowboys afford to pay the somewhat aging running back in this NFL economy? Could they place a premier price tag on a wide receiver despite their run-first, ball-control mentality? Of course, this wasn't exactly an either-or situation, but the Cowboys did re-sign Bryant to a lucrative deal and allowed Murray to walk to Philadelphia. Now fast forward to 2018. Neither Murray nor Bryant are on the Cowboys. Tony Romo is broadcasting for CBS, and Dallas has spent a top 5 overall pick on replacing Murray at running back. DeMarco Murray announced his retirement from football last week, making much of Cowboys Nation, including myself, think back upon those Romo-era teams. And it's really hard not to wonder, where would the Cowboys have gone if they decided to keep DeMarco Murray? Where would they be had they resigned Murray, rather than spending a premium pick on Ezekiel Elliott a year later? If we are being honest, Elliott is a much more dynamic runner than Murray ever was. He brings more explosion and reliability to the offense, and is arguably the best back in football. Even when Murray was the league's leading rusher, this really couldn't be said about him. There's not much of a chance that DeMarco Murray would still be a productive RB1 in Dallas heading into 2018. His play significantly dropped over the years in Tennessee, even behind their solid offensive line. Of course, the value of the running back position has been devalued as of late, making the Cowboys' selection of Elliott a questionable one to some around the league. Paying the league's leading rusher what they would have had to pay him back in 2015, however, would have been even more questionable. Plus, the Cowboys were able to replace much of Murray's production in 2015 with Darren McFadden, even if the team didn't win nearly as many games. There might be an alternative universe out there where Tennessee's Murray and Derrick Henry-led backfield existed in Dallas, but Cowboys fans are certainly not upset about having Ezekiel Elliott in a Cowboys uniform. Even if it took them a top 5 pick to seal the deal.